Hello everyone and welcome to my secret base. My name is Eddie and today we will be going over why manga/anime live action adaptations don't work but comic book adaptations do. Please note that I'm speaking solely about American adaptations, so I won't be referencing any live action adaptations done in Japan. Anime and manga have become really big in the past 20 years with no signs of stopping, to the point where every streaming service tries to tap into those fandoms as much as possible by offering a certain amount of anime content. This audience has also caught the attention of multiple studios well before the streaming services. However, these have had more failures than successes. Comic books have been around for about a century, and they are a staple of pop culture, with Marvel and DC Comics being the two big titans of this industry. Their properties have been adapted in many different forms with a lot of success, the most recent and notable ones being Marvel Cinematic Universe and DC's TV universe, which is called the Arrowverse due to the show being anchored by the Arrow TV show. Comic book properties have engraved themselves into pop culture and have built up name recognition as well as an insanely large fan base. All comic book properties have many stories and many characters that include unique takes such as Marvel Zombies, alternative origins, alternative universe counterparts such as Marvel's Ultimate Universe, and many reboots such as the New 52 and DC Rebirth. When creating adaptation, whether that's a cartoon, TV show, or a movie, writers have many resources to go to into creating those adaptations. With all these resources, those writers have a lot of range into what story to adapt. Take for example the fact that Spider-Man has been adapted 3 times now and they all feel unique. Comic book fans are also used to the unique takes, just as I mentioned, as many comic book writers tend to give their own take on the characters whenever they're working on that property. There is also the idea of a multiverse that both DC and Marvel embrace a lot. So when writers and directors, let's say, adapt for a new movie, their unique takes aren't usually universally panned in the most part, and nobody is surprised when movie studios have their own ways of telling those stories with those properties, due to the fact that even from the comic book world, people are used to different takes. So why do anime/manga adaptations don't work? Well, one of the biggest hurdles when it comes to anime live action adaptations are the names. For us anime fans and manga readers, the Japanese names are not an issue. We know the names and how to pronounce them in the most part. Some of us usually watch anime with subtitles, often panning the dubs, justified most of the time. Some dubs keep the regular name of the characters, while others change the names of the characters, such as Pokemon with Ash, who is Satoshi in the original, Joy Wheeler in Yu-Gi-Oh, who is Jonoichi in the original, which were all well received, though keep in mind that when those animes came out, the internet wasn't that big, and well, a lot of us weren't watching the subs. There's also times when iconic characters have their names changed, such as Light Yagami in Netflix's Death Note, which turned him to Light Turner. Damn you, Netflix. Unlike comic book, mangas usually follow one story and one story alone. There are no alternative takes by someone else, or multiverse, or different origins to go by. Anime adaptations often have to source to filler episodes or even arcs to let the manga progress after catching up. This is often annoying in some cases, but not irregular, as Naruto was the king of filler and actually did a good job at it. The problem with some shows arises when the anime completely changes the story after catching up to the manga, such as the case with Akame ga Kill and even Soul Eater, which went ahead of the manga and just winged it from there, making up the story, which turned off a lot of the fan base. In some rare cases, it isn't as hated, at least here in the West with the original Fullmetal Alchemist, which deviated from the source after catching up, but the story wasn't half bad, and actually the original anime for Fullmetal Alchemist has a very strong fan base who prefers that story over the one that we actually got, which was later adapted into Brotherhood. However, American studios often try too many drastic changes that end up completely turning off the entire fan base. And on top of that, you also have to think of the casting and what people were expecting as well, such as the story with Dragon Ball Evolution. Once again, the granddaddy of absolute garbage. Changing one of the most famous stories ever, the story of Goku, changing one of the most famous stories of anime ever by throwing Goku into a high school sci-fi teen movie. Yes, because that's exactly what Dragon Ball fans wanted, to see Goku in high school. And not only that, they decided to bastardize the Piccolo saga, which, to be fair, a good portion of the fan base has not seen it because a good portion of the fans did not see the original Dragon Ball, as Dragon Ball Z was the one that became popular in the US. And even by those standards, it makes it even worse, the fact that you went from seeing the Saiyan saga and all this fighting to Goku in high school. The same thing applies to Death Note, which honestly Netflix could have absolutely nailed it had it been a series and kept the original story intact. Instead, we got the grandson of absolute garbage. They even had this series on Netflix. Did the writers of the show forget to watch it? Often keeping the same story with minor changes here and there goes a long way, such as the case with Alita Battle Angel, which by all accounts was a good movie. I enjoyed it, and so did a lot of my friends who were also fans of the original work. Another example of screwing up an adaptation comes from Netflix again with Saint Seiya, which, to be honest, most fans in the US aren't familiar with it because it was bigger in Latin America. Though I was born in New York, I did live a good portion of my childhood in the Dominican Republic, where the anime was huge. And when I saw that Netflix was adapting it, I was worried, and they absolutely proved me right. I saw half the series and quit. And they are currently working on a One Piece live action, and I expect nothing but one piece of trash from them. One last reason why these adaptations don't work is the general public. Piggybacking from what I just said, most studios will try to make these adaptations, let them be shows, movies, viewable to the general audience, but also appealing to fans. Unlike Marvel and DC, where there's a lot of people who like almost everything from either property or from their specific properties, even the specific brands, most animes have a specific fan base. Take JoJo for example. JoJo. Don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean that they don't watch anything else. That just means that they have stronger feelings towards that property that they prefer over anything else. And often they make these adaptations with the mindset that because they're adapting an anime slash manga, all anime slash manga fans would turn up to see it, when in reality, each one has a specific niche that it targets to. Well, that's enough rambling for one video. Please remember to like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. I'll catch you all back here for my next video. See ya!